All right, we're taking care of some of your business. That's how they say it down south. Business. Welcome back, folks, to the Ray Lucia Show. 844-RAY-SHOW, the number. Towers Watson did a retiree study recently, and the survey examined the attitudes of U.S. retirees who receive retiree health benefits from their employer via the private exchanges, et cetera, et cetera. But, and that's not as important as I think some of the findings, or the highlights anyway. Respondents were very satisfied with their personal finances overall. Those who retired of their own volition were more satisfied than those who felt forced into retirement. Joining me on the program, Lyn Rowe, certified financial planner. We know when you are forced into retirement, you either got canned from your job or you got sick, right?
Boy, that's a fact. And unfortunately, we've heard a lot of those stories, haven't we, Ray?
Indeed we have. Allow me, if I may. Retirees with a greater share of income from an employer pension or annuity were less concerned about financial risks and more confident of their overall financial futures than similar retirees whose income came from more variable sources such as defined contribution accounts. Another bone that we've picked for years and years and years in the retirement and financial planning industry, and that is forget about managing all of the money that you have yourself. Turn some over to an insurance company and get an annuity or some kind of guaranteed income for life.
Exactly. Well, what used to be the pensions that people got, those defined benefits, which we know now are dinosaurs, and wonderful dinosaurs they were, but nonetheless, those were coming from insurance companies. They were guaranteed incomes. We even used to see what we call guaranteed income contracts. Yep. And so that alone can be the underpinning, if you will, or undergirding of your financial planning, because you know you're going to get that check every month, and whatever comes in over and above that is gravy.
And we've also learned, by the way, from a different Towers Watson study, that happiness correlates with that guaranteed paycheck. Happier retirees are those that have some form of annuitized income.
Exactly.
But I'll stop. I'm finished with this one. Despite being financially satisfied, most of these retirees wish they had saved more or retired later. They were most concerned about the future costs and availability of medical insurance and health care, which brings me to Lyn Rowe, who is a health care specialist. We've learned from the Fidelity study and many other studies that people are concerned about post-retirement health care costs, and they claim that it's going to cost over $200,000 just to cover the cost of health care post-retirement. And that does not include the most critical cost and the most costly event that could happen, which is some form of long-term health care.
Exactly right. You know, that study says that $220,000 is what the number that they pegged, that the average 65-year-old can expect to spend after they retire, as you say, on health care. That doesn't include their health care insurance premiums or any of that sort of thing. It's just paying for the care over and above your coverage. And we forget things like chemotherapy, they don't pay 100%, and you can go on down the list and find all these different things that aren't going to be covered, and you're going to have to come up with some money. Well, over and above that, as Ray points out, is the extended care, and we know the stats on that, and it's not pretty. With a couple, it's 70%. So 70% of couples can expect to have at least one person go into care. And the problem is when people try to do it themselves, Ray, is that they will look at today's cost and then they'll say, I can handle that. Well, they're not taking into account the $220 is going to go up, plus whatever the extended care is going to go up. And if you add those two together, you could easily be looking at, say, $600,000 today, $700,000 today, grow that every year for the next 15, 20 years. That's going to take a huge bite out of somebody's retirement plan.
Yeah, so a lot of people say, well, the government's going to take care of me, so I'm just not going to sweat it. And, we're sitting here with a government that can't take care of itself, no less take care of you. How does Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, and all that stuff fit into the mix if you or a family member need some form of home health care or long-term care?
Well, there's some pretty strict requirements when it comes to Medicare. First of all, you have to go into a skilled nursing facility within 3 days of being released from a hospital. So it's pretty, regimented. Once you've done that, if you are continuing to improve, they'll pay the first 20 days at 100%. But after that, they're not going to pay. They're going to reduce that to all but about $100 a day, and then your Medicare supplement would pick it up for the next 80 days. But here's the point, Ray. Who continues to improve for 30 days? No one. You usually find yourself at a point where it can't do any more for you, or you've improved as good as you can. I mean, look how fast they kick you out of hospitals these days.
Chili improves over time, spaghetti sauce, but not your health. You're right.
Yeah.
Why am I just thinking about lasagna and spaghetti sauce today? I don't get it. I must be.
You must be ready for lunch.
Okay, on a serious note, this is what you do.
Yes.
You help assess people's situation. A lot of people just flat don't have enough money to pay for this stuff. I mean, you can't really fault someone for not buying an insurance policy, even if there's a 70% chance that they're going to need it if they don't have the money. So one of the things that I have offered the last several days is this book, A Money Saving Mindset. You would love this book. Because it's easy to read. That's why I love it. The print is big.
The print is big. I can see it from here. Look at that.
And there are 40 ways to help you save. So the reason I bring this up, and I've been bringing it up recently, it's written by a fellow by the name of Derek L. Poland, who sent me a copy. And I read it and I said, doggone it. There's so many people, young and old, that need to read this, because when we talk about things that are so important in your financial life and you're coming up short, you're probably not going to buy something if you don't have the money to buy it. Right? I read through this book, and even me, the penny pinching sucker that I am, really not. I am not.
He's not, folks.
I am just the worst. I have to admit it. I hate the penny pinching stuff.
Yeah.
But I'm going through here, and you don't have to be a Meister or anything like that. There's just certain things that he said in here that resonated with me. That, here's one, number 10, negotiate.
Yeah.
Why not?
Exactly.
Why not?
So
I have saved so much money negotiating.
Yes.
Usually I'll make a joke out of it because it's kind of embarrassing. But you know what? So what? There are people that I know that are really good at this. You can negotiate with your healthcare professional.
Yeah.
You can negotiate with the car dealer.
Yeah.
You can negotiate with just about anybody and everybody. I had tires put on the other day. Retail cost X. I got it for like 15% under X.
Exactly. You can go into a store with an ad that's coming from like eBay or, Amazon and say, this is what they're going to sell it for. Can you give me a break? And the manager will say, sure.
So you save $500 a month doing this stuff. All of a sudden, you now have $500 a month you can apply toward the real stuff that's important.
Exactly.
Because the tires are important, there's no doubt. And you can put cheap ones on, you can put expensive ones on. But when it comes to your health, that's even more important. So stick around. When we come back, we're going to talk more with Lyn Rowe, who is a certified financial planner who has spent long years in the financial services business. That's still your same hair color, isn't it, from 20 some odd years ago?
Don't start with me, Ray.
Because if you notice, mine's a lot grayer than when you and I first met. We'll come back with Lyn. 844-RAY-SHOW, the number 844-729-7469. If you have a question for Lyn or you want to shoot me an email, I'll be getting to a few of those later. RayLucia.com, RayLucia.com. The Ray program is going to continue, so make sure you stay tuned. Because, as I said earlier, if you miss a minute, you miss a lot. Right here on the Ray Lucia program. My area of specialization, like yours, is in helping people get retired comfortably with safe, smart, and serious money-type strategies.
Yes.
And before the break, you and I were talking about this whole concept of long-term health care, and I pointed to the fact that a lot of people can't afford it. But you've got a lot of different ways to help people afford the types of policies that they really need to have.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we can design a contract around your budget. And in fact, I strongly urge people, when I first talk to them, to think about their budget and decide how much do you want to allocate toward this, and let's design it around that, rather than you saying, well, what does it cost, and then trying to fit your budget around that number. It's backwards to me. It's like buying a car. You know how much you want to spend for a car. You know how much you can afford to spend on a monthly basis. If you go to the lot with those numbers, then you can find the right car. Otherwise, you're going to be there all day looking at cars.
What about short-term care versus long-term care?
Excellent question. Short-term care is something that is becoming more and more of a concern to people, particularly older folks, because they're hearing the statistics, 50% chance I'll be in there less than a year, I'll need care for less than a year. So the short-term care can be a real godsend to them, and it can keep the cost down. That's one way to do it.
What's interesting is those costs are obviously quite significant for care, what I'm saying. And, you hear a lot on the news about the middle class and who's really going to get hurt. And it's the middle class that's going to get destroyed with long-term care.
Always is. The middle class gets it every time. Ray, I was just talking, and this is kind of one of those variations on the theme, but I was talking to a 71-year-old here in the last couple of days and said, we were just kind of walking through the numbers because he has some money that he's invested after tax, and he's been pretty conservative with it, but he was thinking, well, maybe I could just use that to cover my long-term care. And I said, well, let's run the numbers. And so we did. And so he took $75,000, and we said, okay, how much can we get with that $75,000? For him, he would get about $3,900 a month of benefits for 4 years. Now, Ray, that's over.
That'd be using like a lump sum of $75,000. So you put 75 grand and you've got the coverage. Takes it out of his
right pocket, puts it in his left pocket, and that's called insurance. Yep.
Okay, so this is like the linked benefit idea.
This is the linked benefit idea. So he would immediately have $186,000 as opposed to $75,000 to pay for his care if he needed it. Bingo. But what if he was one of the 50% of the guys out there who don't need it?
Right.
Okay. So, but he came home laying down in the easy chair and went to sleep and never woke up. Okay.
That's the way I want to go.
Exactly. So from that standpoint,
with a bowl of lasagna in front of me, by the way.
He's still hungry, folks. So that's $116,000 that would come back to his family, income tax free. Both of these are income tax free benefits.
So here's what Lynn has just said. You take the $75,000 out of your left pocket, you put it in your right pocket, there's $116,000 if you croak, right? If you don't croak, you got $3,900 a month to pay for care for the next 4 years if you need care. Did I say that right?
You said it right.
That's a pretty good deal when you think about it.
What if he said to himself, well, yeah, but what if I need that money? What if one of my kids needs something or I need to get my hands on it in a hurry? So after a few years, I mean, in the earlier years, you get most of it back if you decide to walk away. But it's only in a matter of a few years you could have all of it back.
So here's what I love about this, because you can borrow 90% out in the first couple of years or any time and still keep the policy in force, because this is an insurance contract and it's what is called a unilateral contract. Unilateral meaning you have all the control, the insurance company doesn't.
Right.
They're obligated. You can take most of your money out, and if there's a penny left in there, or $100 or whatever, or you keep paying some kind of a cost, or you pay the interest on the money, they still have to insure you. But here's what's better about it. You can always pay it back if you want to. Use the money temporarily, help that family member out, get the money back. Then there's no bank that's going to send you a statement every month.
Right.
They're not going to tap your checking account to get repaid.
Right.
They're going to say, hey, pay me back when you want to.
Yep.
So that $75,000 that you took 50 grand out of, that you left $25,000 in there, you still have the death benefit of 116 grand,
right,
less whatever you took out,
right,
and you still have the long-term care benefits of $3,900 a month.
Right.
I don't understand why a person wouldn't do that.
And Ray, that's exactly what I said. I said, what could you do better with that money that's going to give you those kind of benefits if you need care, those kind of benefits if you just pass, or those kind of benefits if you need the cash? What could possibly do all those things for you? Nothing.
You know what most people say. It sounds too good to be true and all that stuff. Well, if you think it is, then have Lynn run the numbers for you. So here is her website that you can go to send her an email. I want my LTC.net. I want my LTC.net. Or the number is
877-270-3127.
877-270-3127. Brilliant job, my lady.
Shucks. Get some pasta for lunch today.
I'm going out for lasagna.